to the Pulse Collective podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of the PCP, otherwise known as the Pulse Collective podcast. This is the show where we sit down with top business leaders and entrepreneurs to uncover their journeys, any lessons they learned along the way, and their vision for the future of their industries. I'm your host, Shahrukh Ansari. For those of you watching or listening audibly, we are Pulse Marketing Collective. We partner with businesses all across the country to multiply their revenue, unleash their business potential through AI-powered systems. If you're looking for proven ways to attract more clients or boost retention and elevate your overall customer experience, you're in the right place. Now, with all that out of the way, joining me today is Michael Hamilton. He's the CEO and founder of PEEVA, a company that's redefining how lost pets are identified and reunited with their owners. Through a very patented technology of theirs, PEEVA has been built on it's an end-to-end data platform that essentially connects vets, shelters, and pet owners across a single pet identity system. I'm not going to go too much into detail. I'll allow Michael to do an intro for himself, but Michael, it's great to have you on.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, can you just do a quick intro of yourself? Tell us a bit about PEEVA. What exactly what's your role, and a little bit about your story so far.
Yeah, so when I was a little kid, my dog was stolen. We never got him back. So when I got PEEVA, I had her microchipped right away. I registered her microchip. One day, we were walking around the park, Delaware Park in Buffalo, and, PEEVA thinks everybody's her friend. So we always have to have like these really awkward conversations with other pet owners. This one woman, she just clearly stole her dog, because I asked her, basic questions. It sounded like she rescued the dog because she said she rescued the dog. I'm like, where did you rescue him from? She said, well, South Carolina. She was driving through South Carolina from Georgia, headed back to Buffalo, and she saw the little guy on the side of the road. So he hopped right in. I'm like, so you basically stole somebody's dog? She's just like, no, he was obviously abandoned because I saw him on the side of the road. So that actually happens a lot. I mean, the missing pet problem is actually a huge problem. Like in the States, 1 in 3 pets go missing at some point in their lifetime, and more than 80% are just never seen again, right? So a microchip is the best way to ensure you're going to get your pet back, because it's the only permanent ID a pet will ever have, right? It's implanted. It doesn't require any like electricity. It's not attached to a collar that can fall off or be taken off. So the purpose of it is just a permanent ID, right? So the vet or shelter worker scans, the animal for a chip, and then essentially you get your pet back. That's what the whole purpose of a microchip is. But when I found one day, I had to take my dog to PEEVA, to emergency care at a vet about 30 miles outside of Buffalo. And when I was there, I noticed that they didn't scan her for a microchip. So when I asked why, I was told that I don't look like somebody that would steal a dog. So I thought that was not really, a good excuse to not be, scanning microchips. But I looked right in it. I looked more into the problem. So there's lack of standardization among microchip companies, right? So you have these different microchips, you have different scanners, you have different frequencies in which they operate. You have all these different registries. There's separate cataloging systems. So it's a complete fragmented mess, right? So this perfect technology has been kind of rendered useless in a lot of ways for those reasons. The lack of standard, they might not have the right scanner. They might not be able to read it. And now they got to look up this microchip ID by searching all these different databases and everything else. Now there is a central hub, basically. It's called the AHA lookup tool, but that actually is kind of creating a lot of problems right now, because they offer participation to all these different free pet microchip registries that are popping up. There's essentially just collecting verified emails and then spamming everybody. I mean, it costs millions of dollars to operate a microchip company. So, I mean, how are you going to really do that for free, right? I mean, your employees don't work for free. Systems engineers don't work for free. Data hosting is never free. It's never free, right? So where am I going with this? So I looked more into the problem. I learned about this lack of standardization issue. I then got with the University of Buffalo and their attorneys. I had this idea to develop this multi-channel scanner that can read any brand of microchip. So we did that. We actually developed like 3 of them. And then the next challenge was, okay, how do you get people to actually use this scanner that can read everybody's microchip? There's got to be some kind of value, right? So companies of all types, it doesn't matter who it is, they want one of 2 things, which basically means the same thing. They either want to make money or they want to save money, which is literally the same thing if you think about it. Uh, so that being said, implementation, how to get vets and shelters on board to use this thing? Well, let's pull all their medical data together. So now you can scan any pet in our system for a microchip. You instantly notify the pet owner of the exact location, and you have that pet's complete life and ownership history showing up on the screen. So that provides better care for the pet, right? Now the vet can spend less time diagnosing, more time treating, and then the pet owner is notified the exact second. So basically, I had to build all this stuff to ensure that if my dog is ever stolen, they're going to scan our microchip and I'm going to get her back. So it basically, I like to say that we're not reinventing the wheel with any of this stuff. It's more like fixing a flat tire. We're taking what could work and we just make it actually work. I mean,
Yeah.
RFID, it's extremely reliable technology. It's just that you have all these different players, right? And what's even worse is on the medical side, there are all these multiple, there's so many different software options for like shelters and vets. So what we want to do is we just want to play in the data sandbox nicely. So all we do is we just literally universally display it in our interface, which is just like my daughter's 7, she can navigate through it. I mean, people outside of tech don't like learning new tech. So,
Right.
it's been a racket. I've been at it for several years now. We weren't really making any money till about 4 years ago. So, and then things just kind of picked up pretty quickly after that with the critical mass. We have over 3 million pets now enrolled in our system. We find pets every single day. Um, yeah, so that's about
So
it.
you said
And
you said 4 years ago is when you really started becoming profitable, or when you like actually started having a consistent stream of like expected revenue, you could say. Like it was about
yeah,
4 years ago.
that 3.5 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think when I was looking at you guys launched back in 2016. It was.
Well, I wouldn't say launched. If if launching, you mean launching means like literally sitting around in your 500 square foot apartment and registering like an LLC through LegalZoom, sure, yeah, we launched. But no, we didn't ship our first
Initial
pet. Oh
state.
wait, yeah, we didn't ship our first pet until like 2019. And when we first launched, we weren't even. I mean, I wasn't even considering anything on the medical side or even on the distributing microchips. I mean, it's just been a whole series of pivots.
You were probably thinking like you just want to help people be able to find their pet at
That's
first.
it.
That's
Yeah,
it.
I had a really good job at the time. I liked my job. And then I just kind of got sucked into this. As a single guy at the time, I really had nothing to lose.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, but then it just kind of became a full-time thing. But then when, we started actually saving these animals and making a lot of money, it's just like, okay, yeah, I guess I made the right decision. But, I'm really excited to talk to you guys today because, I did look into your background a little bit and, the IBM stuff, like this is free consulting for me. That's why I love talking to you guys and I love what you guys are doing. I think it's actually really brilliant to, um, be, you know, interviewing your targets, so to say. So it's exposure for us and it's exposure for your company and you're providing value, right? So you're opening up the door. And, I don't have a computer science background. I'm not a developer. I mean, I can get by, but I just have engineers that do that. But to be sharp, I'm always kind of trying to be in front of the curve in regards to being more reactive to what my competitors are doing. I mean, PEEVA is basically exists only because our competitors weren't weren't doing it well. I mean, our status quo competitors that have been around since like the 90s and they're making hundreds of millions of dollars every year. I mean, even they don't have it dialed in, but they have a much broader network than we do. So we're just trying to play nicely with them, integrate with them. We offer our APIs to whoever wants it, and I don't really care. I mean, it is all about, first and foremost, saving pets. I mean, literally, when you're a little kid, you're lying in bed and you don't know who took your dog. Like it's the most traumatizing thing.
Yeah.
Because you know, who has it worse? The kid who walks outside into the backyard, sees his dog missing, turns around, sees it get run over by say a garbage truck. That'd be awful. That'd be traumatizing, right? Or is it the kid that walks in the backyard, sees his dog missing, turns around, where the hell's the dog? Which is the more traumatizing experience? The kid who saw the dog get run over by the truck, and I know this sounds terrible, um, but that kid's going to have less trauma than the kid who has no idea where his dog is. Like, is the
Yeah.
dog alive? Who stole my dog? It's just like, so moving back from New York City, like literally 20 years after that fact, and then I get this dog and now I'm back in Buffalo. It's just like, well, I got to get this thing chipped. And then to learn that it's not resolving the problem with this perfect technology. Well, let's just, pull a couple levers and make it work. And here we are, like literally 8 years later.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We always talk about with even our own clients, like a lot of these entrepreneurs, everybody's had a pretty unique experience when they were younger, and it always triggered like a why. And we always focus on like for entrepreneurs, like even out there, you're starting anything, you need to have a solid foundation on why you're trying to build something. Because you started this as like you lost your dog, you want to make sure that doesn't happen to anyone else, and if it does, they can find it. It ended up expanding into, now they can get care, like wherever it gets scanned, like it could be anywhere, like their owner's going to find it. Like you built this entire system. And that just goes to show, like, you can actually start with one thing. Like it ends up becoming something completely different. Like you probably 8 years ago or 9 years ago, when you first were legalizing your business, you didn't think 9 years later you'd be doing all this. You'd have 3 million pets enrolled to your company. Like it kind of like,
No, I didn't even really think I didn't really do it to start a company. I just had an idea and I was just kind of like really looking into things. So I was just had the foresight to know that I had to have some kind of legal entity behind me to
yeah,
actually like, be going into universities and stuff, and opposed to just being some guy riffing with them. I mean, they don't like wasting their time. Plus you want to circumvent certain academic departments that are actually kind of they're parasites. They want all your IP. They want it to remain in the university. And that's a whole other conversation, but I have a very love-hate relationship with SUNY and the University of Buffalo because they've been just so valuable to me. But at the same time, they're always kind of trying to fuck me at the same time.
yeah. No, for sure.
Because they're a huge business, right? So you just gotta, I had to, separate myself from that by just kind of going to the chairs of the academic departments directly. I mean, I have a lot of advice to work with universities. I made a lot of mistakes, but it's, there's any kind of value and you want to ask me any questions about that, I can offer some insight to all your clients. No question about it. Otherwise, they're going to go through these like science technology outreach programs. I call them stops because they literally are just going to stop what you're doing. They're literally a stopgap and they're just going to try to steal from you. You just got to go to the deans directly because deans are in those positions because they're academics and they like building things. Like these chairs, these departments, like biomedical engineering, electrical engineering, computer science, all they care about is just learning. They're basically like kind of like scientists. So if you come to them with an idea and saying, hey, this is a problem, can we at least do a root cause analysis to see if this technology exists and why it doesn't? I mean, it just seems so obvious to me. Well, let's look in. So then, I had a full academic RCA conducted and they're like, wow, I guess this is technically invention. Let's help you build it. That's all that was for like a couple years. And then the same thing on the software side, hiring me, these teams. And first they were, you know, graduates from the university that were initially working on this as part of their thesis. And then I hired them full time. And then I had to hire consultants to kind of pick up after them. And I mean, it's been an incredible journey. It's been a lot of ups and downs. It really has. But, it's fun, and we're always kind of changing and trying to do cool stuff.
That's super cool, man. That's super cool. I'm going to pivot a little bit. I'm going to hit you with some rapid fire ones. Not rapid fire in the sense, but it's going to be more. I want to get you a couple of clips too, so I want to make
I
sure we
know
can
I
have a
should
nice
probably put something
conversation.
nicer on. I'm sorry. I just maybe
So let's
my
talk about
hair and makeup,
sales.
my hair and makeup person uh, is at work right now herself.
Let's talk about sales, because that's a big part of my background too.
Sure.
So
Sure.
when we're talking about how, well, typically the main levers of a business, you have your operations, you have your marketing, you have your sales. Like, you need all three of them to speak to each other for anything to work. What we've seen on my side, like back into my IBM days, back when I was even just consulting on the side, I would always see that people would always struggle with one out of those three because they're putting a bunch of emphasis on the other two. So if you're really like your marketing's crushing it, you've hired, say, 3 SDRs to like action your marketing leads that are coming in. Like, these are potential warm leads to talk to. But now your sales reps are the bottleneck in your sales process. They're not able to actually carry forward the value of what you're trying to do. In your case, it could be something like, for an average person who's not technical, they're like, why do I need that? Like, I could just put an air tag on my pet's neck and just
Eva
call it
has
a
an air
day.
tag.
Like, they
My
could
actual
literally,
dog Eva has an air tag.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like for the average, so when it comes to that value perspective, like that value side, where you actually, obviously you're the founder, you know how to actually articulate that better than anyone. How do you look at your sales process and you're like what sales knowledge have you learned? And based on where you're at now and maybe where you're trying to get to, what is your sales cycle like now compared to before? And how may it evolve as you're trying to get to this next phase?
Yeah, so there's two ways to look at it, just sales in general. There's two theories. So our veterinary operations director, his theory is basically grassroots. Okay. Um, and that's very costly, to have boots on the ground, to hire, like a seasoned sales professional to literally go through that cycle, to knock on doors, like go into vet offices and hospitals, hand off a brochure, and then start with the following of phone calls and the traditional sales process is very well, it's a long process, and it's expensive, right? To have all these boots on the ground. Um, the other way to do it is take a top-down business development approach. It's a great way to cut corners. Now, when I was working at Bloomberg in New York for a couple of years, we had this Bloomberg Law product, which is crushing it now. But they, at the time they were building it to rival Westlaw and LexisNexis, and now Bloomberg Law is Bloomberg Law. Now, the way Bloomberg, just in general, grew was from that top-down business development approach. First, he had Merrill Lynch was his first institutional client. They went and did the same thing with law firms. You go into like the AmLaw 20 rated law firms, you take that top down business development approach with these large, these firms that have multiple offices. You get approval in one, and then it kind of unveils itself that way. So that was basically what we did here, or what I did at PEEVA. And it just kind of worked out that way. PEEVA's then primary veterinarian. I first reached out to him with this idea, and he thought it was a really good idea. He said, okay, if you build it, I'll beta it in my 2 hospitals, which he built from the ground up. But the problem is he actually sold those hospitals to a major corporation. So now I had to get approval from the C-level just to beta this stuff, like in those 2 offices. But they're like, okay, you're pulling and pairing all this fragmented data together for us, and you're going to do it at no cost. So that was MBA, and they have like 1,000 hospitals. So now we have this critical mass of pet owners and their pets and all their chip IDs of other brands into our system. So we were able to just kind of pull that in. Now we can say we're literally a legit central registry where any brand of microchip can be enrolled. Now, since we were doing that to offset that, they are to scan every pet that comes into their office. So now I'm achieving my mission. Now they're scanning every pet like they should. And if the pet doesn't have a microchip, the vet techs are reading off a line list of options, like, 6 or 7 bullet points, why to microchip your pet, specifically microchip your pet with PEEVA. They do it right there on the spot, register it, and then I just bill them at the end of the month. That's our business model. So it's a top-down approach, scaling within the major institutional client. That's what we did. Now that's a success story. I also have a total failure story doing the same exact thing where I distributed almost 200,000 microchips, and I ate those. Like, I sent them to this national animal welfare organization, and then they told everybody, to basically don't use PEEVA, use this free registry, and that free registry wound up getting shut down anyway. So now I have all these chips out there in limbo that have never been registered. And we probably register a couple every day because people will search like this chip ID and they're like, who does it belong to? Okay, well, this looks like it was a PEEVA microchip. So then they'll call and they'll, register their chip with us like they're supposed to.
Yeah.
But we're also getting flooded with phone calls all the time. People are like, we know this is a PEEVA chip, but where was it distributed? So now, for like 2 years, I was paying people to literally chase down microchips that never went registered. So finally, I just said, this doesn't make sense, because now people are learning that they don't have to register, these microchips with these rich, greedy, corporations like PEEVA. Like, that's what we are. It's just like, no, dude, I just want to be sustainable, So we actually don't provide that information anymore because we have all these different people flooding our our emails and phone lines, just looking for these pets that were never registered. So that's the biggest blunder I've ever made. That nearly actually killed my company. But we were able to rebound.
When was this? Was this like in your later phases, or this is like earlier on?
That was in 2020.
Wow.
Yeah.
But right after that is when you hit your next phase of growth, right after you guys kind of got through that.
Yeah. That's basically, like, fortunately, it's kind of like investing, right? You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket in regards to like, okay, let's just specifically focus on this group of hospitals. No, well, let's do these shelters too. And let's look at a couple other things. And yeah, those are going to fail. You're going to have ups and downs, but as long as you have something else offsetting it, then you're good. I mean, if we could hit out of the park every time, that would be phenomenal. But I mean, we all make mistakes.
Yeah. No, I think at the end of the day, it's how you guys came back from that. Like, a lot of people will be like, like, shit, like, this is it. Like, this might just be the death of everything that we've been trying to build. I'm curious to know a little bit about like where you guys are at now. Like, you have obviously an established clientele, like you have established businesses that you're working with. You have like over 3 million pets that you were talking about. How has your strategy evolved now? Like, how are you actually reaching out to potentially new growth? Like, how are you obtaining new growth now? Are you guys kind of at that point of consistency, or are you still striving to kind of get to that next point?
We're always striving to get to the next point. I mean, I just can't be complacent, because every time I am, it's just, it just can wind up being a disaster. So, to answer your question, like, we've been able to neglect social media like entirely, right? Social media has just never been something that I've been good at. You know, you create these posts, and then you have somebody else like showing up way above you because she took a picture of her salad or something. Like, um, you know, so we've always kind of like neglected it, but now it's just like we really do have to start really hitting hard with that. So we are going to hit hard with that. I mean, if we can have, I'll say we have 85,000 people sign up, which we did like the past year. You know, they should be following us on Instagram. They should be following us on Facebook. So now we're like finally getting our customer IO and Klaviyo dialed in to start beginning that outreach process. Being on podcasts is something that I should probably be doing more, engaging more. So that's going to be a strategy, because you can't, like I said, have all your eggs in one basket with, you know, your select group of vets that you're working. I mean, you want to expand it, right? So, and now people, I think, do their due diligence, right? I mean, they're going to see if you have a social following. You might be just full of shit. You're saying you have 3 million pets. You're finding pets every day. Well, where's your documentation on that? Where's your proof, right? Where is your social proof? You know, every once in a while we'll create a video like, these are the pets that we saved over the summer. But yeah, we definitely have to start stepping it up on the social side as well.
It's time consuming though. The thing is, like, social media management takes a lot of time, like, especially like for a lot of people that are like, if you're founding a company, you already have like 10 things to do on the operations side. Like managing a social media page. So for like, even if I step back from what I'm doing right now, when I was like, I think when I was 18, I started like this just local brand clothing brand type of thing. And this was like right sorry, no, I wasn't 18. It was
Dude,
during COVID time.
I tried my hand at a denim lot.
Yeah. It was like, it was. So I think what I was trying to do was basically just dip my foot into online e-commerce, and I wanted to kind of learn how that space operates. And what I learned at that time was you can't, as one person, wear all those hats. Like at that time, I was designing the branding, I was doing all the video editing, I was doing all the photo editing, I was negotiating with international suppliers, I was getting all the materials like checked, I was doing all the quality control, I was doing everything. So then I was like, okay, like I can't possibly be on a set social media schedule posting 6-7 times a week, running meta ads, Facebook ads, Google ads, and doing all this stuff. Like, yeah, I also didn't have the capital. A lot of people that are starting don't have that founding capital to actually like support them. So what I had to do was, it went under. Like I had a couple of drops, they sold out. Like honestly, it was on a really nice trajectory. But at one point I was like, if I don't have support or a team, like it's really difficult. But now if you pivot 5 years later, the market's completely different. Like honestly, if I was back in during COVID time, I probably, leveraging the technology that's out there now, I could have probably still been doing that, because everything is automated, like every single thing in your entire process now. So for me, for example, even like our consulting firm, I don't think any of our guys have ever picked up a phone. Like they've never had to pick up a phone to actually cold call somebody. Like cold calling is such, especially at corporate and a lot of enterprises. Like even when I was at IBM, our sales team, I kid you not, the expectation was they didn't even care about book meetings. If you are not calling at least 100 to 200 people every single day, and you're going to get put on a performance plan from there, we're going to go from there. Like it wasn't really about conversions. And the reality is, like in today's market, like if I called you right now and I was like, hey, like I can help you get more leads for your business, you're hanging up the phone on me, because it just doesn't work like that anymore. You have to put value forward. And that's why I used to run Klaviyo too for my clothing brand at that time. And email marketing was a flop. When at my website, like it just wouldn't optimize for searches. Like there's so much competition. Saturation was off the roof. So what ended up evolving over time now is I'm like, something has to change. Like I can't wear those hats anymore. So now our entire team, our entire outreach strategies are quite literally, either we're running one specific angle of a meta ad, we found a winning ad copy, and we're like, we're just going to push that out. And people are coming to us inbound. At least 80 to 90% of our new clients now are inbounds. Or if we're doing an outbound strategy, it's going to be a very targeted email campaign, which is not like, hey, this is what I do, this is what we can offer you, let's get 10 minutes on your calendar to see if we can help. That worked about 3-4 years ago. Now the thing that we're evolving in is, what value can you give them upfront on an email if they're actually trying? So what's going to get them to open it? So we have a full kind of breakdown on what's going to get somebody to open an email, number one, but then on top of that, actually respond to it. So there's a couple cool things that people have done. Like, for example, if I'm reaching out to a wellness clinic, a dentist, a chiropractor, somebody in that health and wellness space, we have a team that specifically specializes in that area where like we're building out an industry report, and we want to reach out to you to see if we can get some insights that you can actually contribute to this report we're building out. We'll learn about your business. We'll learn about what you guys are doing. And in exchange for that, we'll actually give you primary access right when this report's available. We'll get that out to you. You could try to implement that into your business, whatever it is that you're doing, free of charge. 9 out of 10 times, those companies, those leaders are like, you know what? I want to talk to these guys. Like, I want to know what's going on. They typically come, you have a conversation, and it's natural. You're not selling them. You're just being a human being. And then from there, it literally just turns into like, you provide them some value. If they take it and it goes somewhere, great. If it doesn't, you built that relationship. And now 6 months down the line, if they're actually looking for something, they're going to think about you. And I think that's the point that we've gotten to now, where everything is people's attention spans are terrible now. Like, it takes 3 seconds on a TikTok. If you don't capture it, you're scrolling to the next. And like, it's the same thing with Instagram ads or wherever your target is. So for us, you just have to find out where your ideal customer is. First, you need to locate that. You need to identify who they are, where they're located. And then you need to be value facing first. Like the ads that say, like, I don't know if you've gone on Instagram, you've seen those. Hey, I can get you 1,000 leads for your company and I'll get it to you within 90 days or you don't pay. If you don't say anything valuable to a person on that ad, like, this is what you can do right now if you want. And this is something you can implement right away. So for example, in your email campaign, these are 2 winning campaigns. We'll give this to you on the ad. These are 2 winning campaigns. Try it out for your business. If you want to evolve any further, book a call with our team. So that's the type of stuff that actually works now. You can't just expect people to click. There's too much competition out there. But the reason I went on that spiel is something that's actually how we've kind of streamlined everything. But with AI now, I want to kind of step back. AI's changed everything. So you don't need a full marketing team anymore. You don't need a sales team anymore. I've had people that we've implemented, like, and it's still a relatively newer technology, so people are still hesitant on it, but like voice customer service agents now, like people don't need to be on that side. I think when I spoke with you before, I mentioned when I was at IBM, they completely kicked out our entire HR department because we moved to, that's not, that's not supposed, but they kicked out our entire HR department and they replaced it with an HR chatbot, which was essentially taking care of all of those workflows. So in your business, how are you looking at AI? The reason I bring it up is I saw your recent LinkedIn post where you talked about your most significant impact was Google Ads, and your ad spend, it just blows. That's all it's done for you. So I'm just trying to get a feel for where you at with it. Like, do you see it as an opportunity? Like, how do you see yourself integrating?
Well, I'll tell you exactly what we're doing. So, this guy that we recently hired a couple months ago, his name's Jordan. He is developing for us a RAG-based LLM, basically, tool, which is like everything else. Our chatbot that we have on our site now sucks. This is just going to be, a RAG-based chatbot, where people can ask all different kinds of questions. And that's just, sitting on like the PEEVA front-facing site. What's really going to be cool with that is how we're going to streamline that into the medical platform, right? So now you're scanning a pet, you have its life history there, but now you can ask, relevant medical questions. So you're a veterinarian, now you have like this vet chatbot, basically just kind of indexed all these different veterinary journals. So not only is it just going to be pulling, from our website and our content, and we can even talk about how shitty some of our content is. Speaking about AI, there are ups and downs to AI, mostly downs, but that is going to be, I think, a real game changer for like the animal healthcare side. Just it's going to provide better better quality of care. But that is not going to probably, that's at least 18 months out. That's an incredibly, it's very time consuming. And this guy, John, I plan on him building a team around him to do it. But yeah, there are a lot of different uses. I love the human element of our customer support team. I would hate to, I think that's absolutely necessary, but I mean, I get phone calls from bots every once in a while. And you could actually talk to them and they provide very, very good service some of the time.
Crazy.
So, it's exciting, but at the same time, I do think it's very overrated and it needs to get checked. But I'm not going to be one of those dinosaurs that is just going to be against it. I mean, that's what happened to the guy that used to sell horseshoes, right? Like he didn't embrace tires. The horseshoe guy could have started selling tires, but he didn't.
Yeah.
You know,
It's one of those things, like you're never gonna replace a human touch. You know, people buy from people. You're not gonna buy from a robot, or you buy a car. There's a reason why Best Buy is still alive. Like people want to go in and touch technology. Like they want to be able to feel it, see it, talk to somebody about like those things. You could easily technically go and be like, hey, I want to compare two MacBooks. I want ChatGPT, go on Google, compare the specs and just go in and buy it or order it on Amazon. But the reason some of these stores still survive is because we're humans. We need that personal touch still. And with customer service, it's one of those things like I don't ever see it. We have our entire process covered, like and streamlined and automated, but I still have a team. Like we will never get rid of people. Like it'll never be a point that, because at the end of the day, like for me, I don't like working the entire day. And I don't know what your hours are at like some of the places, like in terms of customer service, if it's 24/7 or you have certain customer service hours. But after hours, we used to get so many inquiries and we would take like 24 to 48 hours to get back to them. Once we started incorporating some of these things, even those people after hours, they get answers right away within like 5 minutes. So it just helps streamline that a lot better. And now overall, it's one of those things that's pretty cool. Like you could be at phase zero. Like we used to have a concept when I was at IBM, it used to be called client zero. And essentially what that meant is, for example, if I'm running, say like an outbound campaign for somebody else, I need to be client zero before I pitch it and consult it to a potential prospect. So before they can actually integrate it, I need to kind of use it in my own business to actually see if it's successful. So we called ourselves client zero at IBM, and that's the same kind of mindset that we've taken with everything here. Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. Like, I think it's interesting. AI is one of those things that I think if you're a new business owner, like you heard it from Michael too, like you're going to actually have a lot of opportunity, especially when you're starting off. But you need to be calculated because it can go two directions if you take it the wrong way as well. Like he didn't build his business out by automating everything, but now once you're at that scaling point of things, it might be a beneficial asset depending on where you're at. I want to finish off with two questions.
Absolutely.
Yep.
But there are so many different options now. So it's all, selecting, because no matter what happens, there's always going to be like the Johnny come latelys and then like kind of like the Me Too kind of products they're doing, seeing what is successful and then trying to kind of mimic it, copy it. Right. So, I'm not against AI. I just haven't really seen any value yet. But I mean, for me personally, I mean, that talk about like these high school kids, starting these huge companies out of their parents' basement. That's just total bullshit. I mean, you still have to be a systems engineer to be able to cut corners with a lot of these tools. And that's great if you can do it. And my guys benefit from it. I mean, and that's great because now we can kind of turn around different features and functions that much faster. But, I'm pretty excited to learn about all these automated things. But when it comes to like this, all the content creation and things like that, I mean, it's almost like everything is being published and then filtered, opposed to being filtered, then published. I mean, there's just so much content out there.
So funny you say that because I actually had the same exact phrasing to my team. Literally the same thing. It's very true. It's very true. People put everything out there, but it's not filtered down. like 90% of the time. I want to finish off because I know we're getting a little bit close to the end of our time here, but I want to ask you 2 quick questions. So first, just specifically about your business, one thing that's working really well for you right now, one thing that if you had a magic wand, you want to fix it right away, what's that looking like? And then we're going to finish off with one piece of advice for a young entrepreneur that's coming into the space, that's watching this. What's one piece of advice that you would give to them?
Oh, yeah. Don't ever start a company. Just joking. Yeah.
I might have to edit that part out. But
No, keep it. I don't care. No, just really like just be prepared to know that it's you're not going to be driving a cool car right away. It's gonna, and your idea has to work, right? Try to do something that nobody else is doing. If somebody's already doing it and you can't do it better, like don't waste your time, right? But if you really think that you could offer something that needs where there's a need, if you identify something where there's a need, then people are going to buy it. But if there isn't a need, nobody's going to buy it. And I say that seriously because just being part of the ecosystem here in Buffalo or any city, where you have these startup ecosystems and, community offices, all that fun stuff, which are great. I've seen so many kids or entrepreneurs just having a solution and then looking for the problem. There's got to be if the problem has to exist first before the solution. People are coming up with solutions where a problem doesn't exist. That is why so many companies fail. Yeah, that's kind of cool, but who needs this? Nobody needs it, or you're coming to me with something, but I already have this tool that does that. You know what I'm saying? Like I already have HubSpot. Why do I need Freshdesk or Salesforce? Like,
very true.
you know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's the most important thing. Just try to do something better or just don't do it at all. Right. I mean, cause it's not easy. At the time when I was starting PEEVA, venture capital was available. Even if you had a face, basically you just needed a face and a pulse, no pun intended, to receive venture capital. But obviously that didn't work. Okay. So that's where I make the analogy between, startups and rock bands. They're very similar. Like most of them don't make it out of the garage, literally. And whereas, rock bands will send out demo tapes to whatever label is going to make them famous. Entrepreneurs are sending out business plans to private equity groups and VCs and just like, give me money and then I'm going to come up with this great idea that's going to change the world. Well, that doesn't work anymore. As a matter of fact, when people were doing it, it failed literally 100% of the time. I mean, only a fraction of a percent are unicorns. And I think savvy, I think even the venture capitalists realized, okay, that model was a total bubble. And I saw the writing on the wall with that because everything is cyclical. There's always the latest and greatest, like the 90s was .coms, so don't be tempted to just think that, maybe your father knows somebody at the club or something that does VC and then all of a sudden you're going to be like this billionaire or multi-millionaire. It doesn't happen that way. It just doesn't. So
yeah, you heard it first. Like it's not smooth. You're going to at one point feel like you're pushing a rock up like this mountain and like every single day it feels like it's coming back down on you. I definitely went through that phase and that period. Eventually,
it's like jumping out of a plane and it's like jumping out of a plane and trying to build a parachute on the way down.
Yeah,
like,
literally.
I literally had dreams doing that exact same thing. And if that's not subconscious, what's going on in my everyday reality, then I don't know what is. I mean,
that's awesome, man. Listen, Michael, this was an honor. I think, to be honest, like I'm probably going to love to have you on for another episode, like in the future. I just feel like there's so much that we can talk about. I'm sure everybody else will too. Yeah, I think we kind of just hit the surface. I know we're just coming up at the end of time, so I have to cut it here. But I appreciate
And
you
the
taking
pleasure
some
was all
time,
mine,
man.
my friend. Pleasure was
Yeah,
all mine.
yeah, I
Thank you.
appreciate you taking time, and yeah, I'm looking forward to kind of having you on again. Before we end off, if you can just kind of drop for everybody where they can find you on social media, your website, we're gonna make sure that they can find you there.
Yes. Okay. So we now actually have one Facebook page. We had a couple. So just look up PEEVA if you're on Facebook, and that's PEEVA, named after my dog, which is PEEVA, my pet peeve. Nobody gets that, but that's where the name comes from. Or you can on Insta, we are PEEVA Pets is our handle. And then Twitter or X or whatever, we're at PEEVA Fetch. Or you could just simply just type in PEEVA. I think even if you misspell PEEVA in a search engine at this point, you're still going to come across it, but it's PEEVA. And then if you're like me, you're probably not even using Google anymore. So you're probably go on Perplexity. You can go on whatever. But yeah, definitely hit us up on the socials because we got to really build up our following. I mean, we have a lot of customers, so we want to try to maybe get like 10,000 a week, and then we can maybe ramp up pretty quickly. That's basically the new strategy going for, November and December. We're going to hit that hard. So thank you for asking that question.
That's awesome, man. Michael. Once again, appreciate it. Everybody else watching, thank you so much. Once again, it was an honor, and thanks for tuning in. Until the next one.
All right. Awesome.